All right, you wanted it, you get it after 3 months, but at least I'm doing it. First thing you're going to need to do is open your studio. Once it loads, either make a new experience or open whatever one you want. Once your studio is open, grab the model from the description from the toolbox, and then you'll head to toolbox. If you don't see the toolbox, you go over at the top tab here, click Windows, and then check toolbox. It should pop up. All right, once you have the toolbox, you're gonna go over to inventory, and then it should be the one on the top left. Simply drag it in, and you'll have this model here. There'll be two models here. One's called Makes It Better. The other one's Necessary. For now, we're just gonna look at the Necessary. The first step here is to drag the ball into replicated storage. And then I have two GUIs here, vignette 1 and vignette 2. For now, we're just going to use vignette 1. So take that, drag it into starter GUI. Now for the fun part, we actually get to code something. So the first thing we're going to do is, for the code, is we're going to go to starter player and then starter character scripts. We're going to click the add button and we're going to add a local script. The first thing we're going to do is get everything we need. So replicated storage, the ball, and the camera under workspace. So we're going to go type local rs equals game colon get service replicated storage. We're going to say local ball equals rs, which is over here. And we're going to say dot ball, and we're going to clone. So colon clone. And then we're going to get the camera. So that's local camera equals game dot workspace dot. Now you could, you don't want to go camera. You want to say current camera. So current camera will get the actual player's camera, and camera is just the one that's currently in the workspace. The next thing we're going to do is take the ball. So we're going to say ball. And we're going to put it into the workspace. So ball dot parent equals game dot workspace. And I'll go over the code once we're done here and explain everything it does. And I made a mistake already. That's great. So we're also going to go local run s equals game colon get service run service. So we're going to go run s equals run s dot render step colon connect function. So then now we have, so what this will do is every single time your computer renders a frame, it's going to, anything that's in these, anything that's under this function, it will happen. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say ball.cframe equals camera.cframe. This will put the ball in front of the camera. I'm going to say ball.position equals camera.cframe.position. Then we're going to say times, in brackets, we're going to say plus, not times, plus camera.cframe.look vector times 0.85. Now we're going to test it. So at the top left, there'll be the blue play button. Click that and then it will load it up. So it's very simple. We got this, the effect's working now. As you can see, especially when I look up in the distance, everything's kind of warped and I mean, it's like the fisheye lens. And when you're up close to a wall, it bends. As of now, it's very simple. Just 11 lines of code. Yeah, it's very simple. If you want to go a little more in depth, I will do that right now. So when we first make the script, we put it under starter character scripts, which means whenever a player loads in and their character loads in, it will copy this script and put it into the player's character. Right now, I have this character. Very simple rig. Just the starter rig. You can get that going. Avatar, character, R6, and then block avatar. And then you just need to name him starter character. And drag it into starter player. So this will override the player's default character. You don't need to do that. I just like to do it sometimes to... I don't really know why. You don't need to do that though. But what putting a script in starter character scripts will do is put this script into the starter character every time the player loads in. For the actual code, for the first line, rs equals game::get service replicated storage. You can do this two ways. You can either say local, you can have it the way I had it, or you can go local rs equals game dot replicated storage. Some people like to use get service, some people don't. Some people just like to go right into game dot replicated storage. I like to say :get service because it looks nicer. What that's doing is, so everything in your game is here. This is everything in your game. There's a few more services, but each one of these is a service. Some there are extra services like run service that aren't listed here. But what we're saying is the game :get service replicated storage. So you're just getting this. You can also again go game.replicated storage. So that'd be the whole game dot replicated storage. Then the same thing with the run service. It's the game and then getting the service run service. Then when we get the ball, we say rs, which is the replicated storage, dot ball, which is this, and then we say :clone, which basically just duplicates the ball, and then you can't, and it just goes into the storage, I guess. And then we put the ball into the workspace, which is just dragging the ball into the workspace. The camera is the same thing as all of these other things. It's game.workspace.camera, or current camera. So the camera that is attached to the player. And then for this line here, rs.renderStep :connect function. What this does is every time a frame is rendered, these lines of code will run. So when we say rs, that's the run service, .renderStep, which is a function inside of run service. So there's different ones. We got render stepped, heartbeat stepped, pre-render, post simulation. There's a whole bunch here, but we're not going to bother them too much. Right now, we just use render stepped. Render stepped is on the client side, and if you want to run this on the server side, you'd have to say heartbeat. Then we connect it, so every time the render stepped, we connect it to a function, and then we say ball.cframe equals camera.cframe. So that puts the ball's position right here, or the whole C-frame, so the position and the rotation, to the camera's position and rotation. And then we say we change the ball's position to the camera's position. So camera.cframe.position. Again, C-frame is the position and orientation in one vector. So we take the camera's C-frame and we grab the position, which is this here. And then we add the camera's C-frame.look vector. So the look vector of an object is where the front of the object is pointing. So currently, my camera is pointing towards, my camera is pointing right on that wall there, right? So my camera is pointing here, so that's my look vector. That's where my camera is looking. So we take that look vector and add 0.85, which would then put the ball in front of the camera 0.85 studs away from the camera. And then the last line is just ending it. So now that you know how that all works, if you really want, you can just close off the video, but I will also be showing some other things that you can do with this system. If you are curious, or if you're satisfied with this, you can close it. For those who are staying around, right now the vignette is a very harsh line, just a very there's no fade or anything, it's just a very sharp line. For some games you might want it like a actual fade. How I made this one though with the sharp line is I have this that's called, I titled it image label, but it is a frame. So we're just going to disable this for now. If you add, so in Screen GUI, you can hit the add button and then Screen GUI. We're going to call this vignette. You can name it whatever you want, but I just think vignette is a vignette, so that makes more sense to me. Then add a frame to the vignette. And then what we're going to do here is it's really simple. How I've done it before is you have to use a bunch of code to like do math and stuff, but I realized I'm being dumb and I can actually just go at the anchor point. So in the frame, the properties tab. Also, if you don't see this, I forgot to mention earlier, you can hit the window tab at the top left and then click properties and then that'll pop up. So yeah, select your frame and then find the anchor point, which is here. So the first number is the X, which is left and right, and then the second number is Y, which is your top and bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 0.5, enter, and then 0.5. So what that does is when you first make a frame, the anchor point is in the top right. So when I select this, you can see that little black box. When you select this, the little black box is in the top left, which means everything that happens to this is going to be happening from the top left. So say I scale this up a little bit. So we're going to say 200 to 200. See, the top left stays in the exact same position. So you take it down to 100 and 100. That means 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Then it's going to, the top left is going to stay in the same position, but everything else is going to change. So what we do with this one is we change the anchor point from the top left to halfway to the right and halfway down, which is 0.5, 0.5. If we said 1, 1, that would have the anchor point in the bottom right. If we have 1, 0, then it'll be the top right, and so on. So we're going to currently just have it at 0.5, 0.5. Then what I did with this is we put the position to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So 4 zeros. No, that's wrong. Not bad. So we're going to have 0.5, comma 0, comma 0.5, comma 0, which means halfway across the screen and halfway down. When you see, this is called a UDM2, I believe, and that means, so the X position again is right to left, the Y position is up and down, but as you see, there's two numbers here. We got one 0.5 and then comma 0. What this means is, so the 0.5, or the first number, is how far across the screen. So 1 or 0 would be the top, would be the left side, and 1 would be the right side. So 0.5 is the middle. And then the second number is how many pixels across the screen. So for example, if you have the first number at 0 and the second number at like 10, that means, or sorry, let's do 100. Then the anchor point is 100 studs, or sorry, 100 pixels from the left side of the screen. But for now, we're just going to leave it at 0.5, comma 0.5. So this is positioned in the exact middle. The next thing we're going to do is change the size constraint. So what this does is we're going to have it at YY. So that means the X will scale with the Y. So if you have currently 0.5, so we'll go size 0.5, comma 0.5. That means it will stay the exact same size. So it'll be a square. See, if we have relative, if you change the size constraint to relative XY, then the X will be half as wide as the screen, and the Y will be half as tall as the screen. So, and if you have XX, then it'll put the Y size the same as the X size. And if you have YY, then it'll be then the X will be the same size as the Y. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the size constraint set to relative YY. Then we're going to say up here, we're going to say 1, 0, 1, 0. So that means we'll have it, the X will be the same in size as the Y, and the Y is full, so the X is as wide as the Y is tall. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a UI corner to the frame. So again, hit the plus button and type in UI, and then add the UI corner. For the UI corner, we're going to set this all the way to 1. So now we have a circle. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a UI stroke. And back with the corner here, again, the two numbers. So 1 is going to be how much of the circle, and then the second number is going to be how many pixels of the circle should be beveled. So if we have 0.1, that means I guess 10% of the circle will have a bevel. So from this corner, this side, overall 20% of it's going to be curved, because so 10% here is curved and then 10% here is curved. But if you put it at 1, then the whole thing will be curved. Then what we're going to do, since we added the UI stroke, we're going to put the thickness to really big. Currently the biggest thing goes 25 by dragging it, but we're going to make it huge by going 1000. So now the whole screen is black and the circle is white here. What the UI stroke does is it draws a line around the outside of the object that's placed under, so currently the frame. And then since we set the thickness is the thickness of the line, and it puts it at 1,000 studs. So that means 1,000 studs this way, 1,000 studs up, 1,000 studs left, 1,000 studs down is how thick the line will be. And then what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put the background transparency of the frame to 1. So just drag that bar up, and there you go. You got a vignette. This is the easiest way to make this vignette. So there's no code or anything. It's just changing values. What you can do with this though is if you want it smaller, you can go 0.9 by 0.9. And now the vignette's a little smaller if you want that. Or if you want to, you can go 1.2 by, I don't know, 1.2, I guess. And that's a little bit bigger. So you got more screen without vignette. For now, we're just going to leave it at 1 to 1. There we go. Now what we're going to do, so yeah, that's how I made this vignette. But if you don't want a harsh line around it, another thing you can do, I'm just going to delete, well, I'll put these in replicated storage for now. If you don't want a harsh line like that, what you can do is add a screen GUI. Then we're going to add a image label. And same thing with the other one. We're going to say 0.5, 0.5. So that puts the anchor point in the middle. And then we're going to put the position at 0.5, 0.5. And the size, first we're going to change the size constraint to relative YY. Then we're going to set this to 1, 0, 1, 0. So there. So the image label is nicely sized. The next thing we're going to do is add a frame. We're going to add the frame underneath the image label. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep the anchor point the exact same. And we're going to make the size some really big number, well, not too big, 1, 0, 1, 0. And then we're going to move it to the right 1. So that's going to be, we're going to change the position to 0, or 1, 0, 0, 0. That means we'll have the position at the very end of the image label. So it's actually going to be outside of the image label, covering the right side of the screen. Then we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to change the anchor point to 1, 0, which will put the anchor point to the top right. And then we're going to change the position to 0, 0, 0, 0. And then we're going to make these black, just like that. The next thing we're going to do is you can go to the toolbox and either find a decal that looks like what you want, and we're just going to search vignette. So there's a lot of different ones here. Some of them are better than others. Yeah, I also have one in the model. So just if you open up the necessary tab in the model you got from the description, open up vignette 2, and then image label. You're just gonna copy the image ID. So scroll down just a little bit in properties, Control C, and then we're going to go to the one we just made, and then we're going to go to the image and do Control V. So now we have the image there, and then we're going to scroll up a little bit while selecting the image label, and we're going to change the background transparency to 1. So now you can see it's kind of the same effect as we had before, but the line is a lot softer because the image has the image that I got has a very soft line. The circle's a little small, so we're just going to scale it up a little bit. We're going to say 1.5, 0, 1.5, 0. So that's about perfect there. I accidentally moved the position a little bit, so I'm going to fix that. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. And now if you hit play, there we go. It works nicely. Now, if you see the bottom of the screen like that, well, there's a few problems already that I'm noticing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to click the screen GUI and make sure you check ignore GUI inset. That means the GUI that you have here will look the same as you do in this thing in the actual game. So, because before, if you have the GUI inset set to false, then there's a little line here that you can't see that Roblox has for this toolbar up here. What this will do is it'll push the GUI down to that line. So your screen is actually about here, but we want it to go past that. So we untick, or we turn on GUI inset. So then it pops up to the top. One of the things you might have noticed here at the very around the corner, you can see the glass ball is it's not lined up to the screen, as you can see there. There's a little gap where the effect isn't happening, and that doesn't look very good. So the way we fix this is either you can keep scaling the image so then it fits properly within the frame, or what you can do is you can go down to the script we made earlier and you can change the distance that the ball is from the camera. So currently we're at 0.85 studs away from the camera, but we're going to bring a little bit closer. We're going to just say 0.8. That'll bring the ball closer to the camera. Let's see if that fixed it. And as you can see, the line, there's no longer a gap there. It's all trial and error. If you can probably make it look a little better if you want to. Another thing to change, if you want to, in the camera, you can change the FOV, just down here at the bottom. So we can change that to 120, but that'll make it look really weird. Or you can have it at 70, which is the normal, or you can change it to, I don't know, 20. Then the effect is less noticeable, but it's still there. The smaller your FOV, the further you're going to have to place the ball, and the wider your FOV, the closer you're going to have to place the ball. Do keep in mind, though, that the ball is a real object in the game, and if you put it too close, like for example, you put it at 0.3, the effect won't work really, because now the ball is overlapping with the camera, so the effect doesn't really work how it's supposed to. Another thing I want to add is this ball. I got it from the toolbox. I didn't make it. If you go over to view and then check wireframe rendering, you can see there's a lot of triangles in this ball. Like a lot of triangles, which it's not technically too laggy, but it could get really laggy if, I don't know, you put a lot of these in your game. So if you really want to, we'll just turn wireframe off. If you want to, you can just add a part, or add the sphere, the classic Roblox sphere that comes when you, it's just the default sphere. Then change the size to 1,1,1, and then you name it ball. And then drag it into Replicate's storage, and it'll work the exact same as before. Never mind, hang on. What you want to do is uncheck everything. So can't collide, can't query, can't touch. You want and anchored. You want to make sure all of are off. And also, I forgot to mention, you want to change this to glass, and then change the transparency to whatever the ball's transparency was, so 0.5. You want to change the transparency to 0.5. And then also back over here, if you haven't changed it back already, change this to back to 0.8 instead of 0.3. And then, as you can see, the effect still works. Yeah, you don't have to use the ball with all these polygons, but you can if you want to. I'm going to, but doesn't matter. When changing the position of the ball or the size of the vignette, you always need to change both. So if you move the distance of the ball, you'll most likely have to change the scale of the image label to match it up. There's probably a mathematical way of calculating that, but you can just it'll be trial and error. There's other ways to do it with code, but it's a lot more complicated, and this works just fine, so I'm not gonna go over it. Yeah, that's really all. It's not overly complicated, but a lot of you guys want to know how to do it, so that's how you do it. Yeah. One more thing. In the workspace, or in the model that you got from the description, you may remember there's a model here called Makes It Better. All this is it rotates the player's head to follow the mouse, and it is a flashlight here. I don't know why it's named that. There we go. So what this will do, I didn't make this. Well, yeah, so the person who made this, I left the credit in there, and I don't know who made this, so I didn't credit them. For these, if you want to use these, you don't have to, but you can if you want. Just drag both of these into starter player scripts. What the flashlight does is it puts a surface light onto the character's head, and then the script rotates the character's head to the mouse. So when you're playing, if there's a dark spot like over here, you can press F, and then there you go, you have a little light. Again, you don't have to use this, but you can if you want to. There you have it, the tutorial on how to make a fisheye lens. I hope it helped. I know a lot of you guys are waiting for this. Sorry it took me 3 months to make it. If you enjoyed, I guess, I don't know. I don't really know how to end these things off yet. Yeah, there you have it. Thanks for watching.